Hello, everybody, and welcome to the LPL recap. I'm Munchables, this is Nunu, this is Willump. Let's see what's happened in playoffs. What's going on, everybody? Playoffs is well and truly on the way. I'm Munchables, and I'm here to catch you up with what has been going on in the LPL. We've had 4 best of 5s already, and we've had some pretty out there results as well. We started things off with the world champions getting defeated by V5, who continued their miracle run, but it was there to be stopped at the quarterfinals by Suning. 3-1 in the end, who Suning then roared their way into the semi-finals. LGD managed to go 3-1 as well in the lower half of the bracket against WE. Shie taking out his old squad. And then LGD continued their own miracle run now as they went 3-0 over IG, absolutely destroying the 2018 world champions with a scoreline that I don't think many people were expecting. So with all that said and done, let's get into the rewind. So we'll begin with our first series of playoffs, V5 versus the 2019 World Champions in FPX. And whew, what a series for all the PP leavers out there, because a 3-1 scoreline at the end of the day. And honestly, this series was just Mole difference. It was mid difference, because Mole on this Zoe looked incredible. Mole on the Orianna looked incredible as well. The whole squad, though, from V5 really stepping up when it came to the mechanics, when it came to these mid-game team fights and snowballing victories. Mole was going above and beyond, but so much of it was down to PP God setting these plays up. Sam D on his Ezreal as well. But again, I mentioned Mole in the first clip. I have to mention him again here, because this fight looks like it's all but done in game number 2, but Mole on his Orianna turns everything on its head, gets himself a triple kill as DoomB went way too deep onto Bew, and that triple kill snowballed them to a game 2 win. FPX did come back though, and DoomB, I think, took Mole's Orianna performance a little bit personally as he manages to grab himself a quadra kill during this skirmish. And this was a sign of hope for FPX. People thought maybe this was the moment where FPX could start to come back in the series, but unfortunately for FPX, it was just a flash in the pan. DoomB looked great, but then in game number 4, V5 did V5 things once again. They were able to snowball themselves a victory, getting all of these Drakes, getting themselves the fight, but most importantly, getting Bew this Lucian. He looked insane. He was getting solo kills during the laning phase. He was popping off in the team fights. Bew is a monster, but V5 made it to the next round of playoffs. Our second round 1 series was LGD versus WE, and I was hopeful for WE coming into this one. I'm sure you guys know I'm a big old fan of WE, but alas for them, it was a story of LGD, and most specifically Shie, against the squad that he built his reputation on, and it really did feel personal from him. But Peanut as well had an exceptional performance. The most important thing was, I mean, this first game, WE seemed like they were just not on the same page. They were trying to brute force these fights, while you could see, like, Jomung wasn't even in the fight. They weren't on the same page. Kramer was there to just follow through on the end of the fight, slow everyone down, and finish these kills off. And it felt like everything was just not quite in place for WE, and LGD were more than happy to snap up these opportunities. You could see WE going for a panic Baron call in game number 2, and Shie absolutely destroyed them. Kramer, bit of a scumbag at the end, steals away the pentakill kill, but at the end of the day, it was all about Shie. Now, this was the moment where WE did get themselves something. Morgan went absolutely insane during this team fight. He may not be the best top laner in the world or even in playoffs, but he's the best top laner in my heart. And in this game, he was the guy that turned everything on its head. Shie tried his best, but off the back of this skirmish, off the back of that dragon, WE were able to snowball. And Peanut, he was not having any of it. Game number 4 was all on him. He just went absolutely insane. You can see the scoreboard 6-1-2. He took over the early game. He got multiple solo kills throughout the game. He was diving towers as this Kindred. And I mean, the rest was history. It was just a matter of snowballing. And it really felt like by the time game 4 rolled around, WE were just done. Peanut versus Beishang in the jungle went pretty much completely the way of Peanut across the course of the series. And WE were knocked out of playoffs and also knocked out of Worlds contention by LGD. So massive congratulations for LGD as they then moved on to the quarterfinals. Our quarterfinals began with V5 trying to continue their miracle run, and it looked pretty good to start with. We got to see Mole doing Mole things once again. We got to see PP God setting it all up. Unfortunately, though, for them, it wasn't quite enough for them to take the whole series, and Suning came out of the woodwork. A lot of people, in hindsight, are saying Suning were the favorites here. When you looked at the way these two teams played, though, it felt like V5 should have been able to snowball the early games, but Suning changed their style coming into the series. V5 did start off strong. They managed to get a lead in the early game, and in these mid-game fights, their composition was so good at chasing Suning down, not allowing them to play at range like they wanted to. And it meant V5 were able to win this really long, elongated fight and turn it into a victory for themselves. PP God with a really nice binding at the end of the play. But then we saw Suning in the early games able to match. Being able to get to this point in the game, this is a far longer game than V5 are used to playing. And Suning, with a better composition that could go in these skirmishes instead of having to play at range, meant that they could shut down Mole, SOFM, really playing out of his mind on that Olaf, and it meant that they could find themselves a win in game number 2. Then, this was beautiful from Suning. We saw this for the rest of the series. They would set up these plays around the bottom lane. We could see V5 really taking the bait, going for Huan Feng, but then immediately the TP from Angel, SOFM setting up the kills and allowing Angel to get fed on this Zoe, meaning they could snowball into a victory. And then game 4, this felt like maybe V5 were just a little bit donezo because this fight was basically a 4v5. There was no AD carry available. He was over in the bottom side from the side of Y4. The fact that they were subbing in Y4 to me kind of signaled that maybe the series was over. Suning matching the early game aggression was so crucial. And Suning looking amazing. Their team fights, something that we've called a weakness for them in the past, look exceptional. I cannot wait to see what they can do when they go up against top esports. But unfortunately, that was the end of the V5 Miracle Run. Well, LGD showing up to play. They absolutely decimated IG in our quarterfinals. A 3-0 victory. Nobody on the casting crew predicted that LGD would win the series at all, never mind a 3-0. And you just look at the team fights, it was beautiful. The Shy never even gets to participate because of this composition that LGD ran. Peanuts Nidalee looks insane. I don't know why IG didn't ban it in game number 2. The same can be said for Kramer on the Ezreal, as we were seeing Kramer and Mark getting 2v2 kills in this series. That is not something we've said basically ever. This is not a team that is known for their 2v2. The team fighting looks amazing. The shot calling looks amazing. The mechanics looks amazing. There are a few things that you can say negatively about LGD right now. IG, on the other hand, I don't know what was going on. They were not on the same page. They were not showing us the mechanics we needed. I just felt bad for Rookie this entire series because he was trying his damnedest. There was multiple plays from Rookie that made him look amazing, but I don't know. The rest of IG all over the shop across the course of this series, and LGD were more than happy to sweep that one up. They continued their miracle run, and they are looking not just like a dark horse to make it through playoffs and maybe even make it to Worlds. They're potentially looking like a favorite. But importantly, with that win, LGD not only secured themselves the semifinals, but they ended V5's attempts at playoffs. With that win, V5 no longer had the championship points remaining, and it meant V5 cannot make it to the World Championship. With our quarterfinals and our first round done, that means we're getting towards the end of playoffs already. We only have our semifinals remaining. But importantly, there's also a big update when it comes to the championship points, because we only have 6 teams remaining that can make it to the World Championship. We have 4 World Championship spots this year for the LPL, and you can see JDG, Top Esports Suning, LGD, IG, and FPX are the 6 teams that still can make it to regional finals, that can still make it to the World Championship. Unfortunately, V5 have been knocked out of contention. Same can be said for Team WE. These are the 6 teams that can still fight for the right to represent their region. But with that said, let's look at what remains in playoffs. We have 2 semifinals left. On the 22nd, we jump into Top Esports against Suning. And if you'd asked me way back at the start of playoffs, I would have said Top Esports is an easy favorite. But the way that Suning played against V5, that one's completely up in the air in my opinion. Same with the second semi-finals as well. JDG versus LGD on the 23rd. Who knows how JDG are going to be able to do against LGD, because this is a completely different beast to the LGD we saw during the regular split. I cannot wait to see how these two semi-finals are going to go. But with all of that said, that's going to close us out for today. I just can't wait to see what happens in our semi-finals. Well, that is the way that our bracket has panned out in the end. I don't think anyone was expecting it, but that's the way it's gone. If you've watched on YouTube, check out our Twitch channel. If you've watched on Twitch, check out our YouTube channel. I have been Munchables. Make sure you join me for the semi-finals on the 22nd of August. Be there or be square. But with everything said, I'll see you guys in Champ Select.